Hey y'all, today was my first day of junior year and I wanted to read an old vignette that I had made. A vignette is basically like a few paragraphs off of a certain subject. Normally it's like in a book, like if you all have ever read House on Mango Street, those are vignettes. And I made one and I was just thinking about it today because I looked around at school and I was like, I wonder how many of these people are going through their own crap, and obviously everyone is, but how deep it really is for each and every person. So I just thought I would read this vignette. Y'all can skip ahead to the end for whatever like important stuff I'll come up with, but I would like to read my vignette. Okay. What Zavi said. There was a boy who did not know how to stay calm. When my parents divorced and my dad and I moved out, I did not know how to stay calm. Despite the upheaval, my parents did their best to provide me with a sense of calm and security. They made me feel loved when they felt the least loved out of us all. I moved to a complex of townhouses in 2017 with my dad. As sad as I was at first, this became the best time of my life. It was hard at first to find friends. Then one day my dad looked out the window to see I had more brothers and sisters than he could ever give. For as long as I remember, I'm gonna skip ahead, alright? In this townhouse complex, there was a boy named Xavier, but we called him Zavi. We would often arrive home from school simultaneously, and we met at our secret spot. There, we would sit and talk while waiting for the others. Although Zavi was not very talkative, he was a great listener. My dad thought maybe he liked me because of how he looked at me when he listened to me. What? He was just happy someone could look at him in the eyes with nothing but appreciation. His eyes had so much to say, but his mouth just couldn't think of the words he needed. This would always leave unspoken sentiments lingering in the air that only I could piece together. Although he couldn't form extensive sentences, even as an 8-year-old, he could cry. I remember his worst cries, the sort of crying that was far worse than a skateboard accident. See, I took his stick one time. He cried. Connor, another boy in the complex, called him a chicken. He cried. He was found during hide and seek. He cried. He seemed to never stop crying. It was always the smallest of things that would make his eyes drown in tears, and we never knew the true reason behind them. All we knew was that he needed someone to let him cry. He needed a family, just like I needed, just like Connor, just like McKenna, just like Nazir, just like us all. One evening, the group was together, and we were playing in the road. Zavi was crying for a reason I can't remember. As a car came speeding down the road, the rest of us instinctively ran to the curb to see who could get there the fastest. However, Zavi stayed put. He was crisscross applesauce, just looking down and letting streams of tears run down his face. We yelled that there was a car. We yelled over and over again. He looked up with his eyes full and empty, and for a second, I thought he might let that car come and take the pain from his eyes with it. I ran and picked up Zavi from under the arms and threw us both to the curb. The car passed less than 3 seconds later. The other kid said I saved his life, but deep down, I knew he didn't want to be saved. That 8-year-old boy wanted saving, but not in this way. The next day, like always, we came home from school and went to our hideout and waited for the others. When the others came, we started to play spies, and as we were playing spies, I raised my hand to give Zavi a pat on the back. He flinched so violently I thought a meteor had struck. I asked him what was the matter. He cried. He cried and cried, and I remember, oh my gosh, I remember this so vividly. I was like, dude, good job. And then the look in his eyes, it was just pure panic, and I never laid a hand on him before like that, and it was just it was the first time I ever saw that look on someone's face, and of course I've seen it since then, but I was just astonished when he looked at me that way. He flinched so violently I thought a meteor had struck. I asked him what was the matter. He cried. I thought he might cause a flood from his endless tears. That's when I knew Zavi was not just some crybaby. One day, after school, I was going from door to door like usual, trying to get the group together for the evening. I went to his door first, pressing my ear to it to see if he was home. I heard some noises, so I knocked on the door for around 10 seconds. His dad answered, angry, saying, "He's grounded, maybe later, kid." I came back with an hour or two with the gang, waiting for my return. The car was gone, so I knocked on the door. My heart fell to the ground and splattered on his walkway. Zavi came to the door. His lip was cut and his eye was bruised. He was covered in red marks of anger and struggle, bruised and beaten. I asked him what happened. He said I fell. I'd seen him fall before. He would cry. He would cry so much like he always did. However, this time he was not crying at all. Not a tear was shed. His dad doesn't let him cry. I finally knew why he cried so much. Zavi had a father who couldn't father. Now he has a son who couldn't smile. So that's my vignette on Zavi. And in case y'all skipped forward, it's like right about here. I'm just gonna recap basically. Zavi was a boy in my townhouse complex, and he would always cry for everything, cry for no reason at all. Sometimes he would just continuously cry, and the gang and I, like, we were worried about him and stuff, but we bypassed it. One day a car came speeding down the road, and he looked at me with his eyes so glossy. He wasn't getting out from the road. He was sitting crisscross applesauce, and I thought the car was going to hit him. I knew it was going to hit him, and I just remember the look on his face. Just like he was done. Like hopeless. Like he was hopeless. And he had so much time to move, and I just remember sprinting to him and picking him up and throwing him on the side of the road along with myself, and the car would have hit us. The car would have 100% sure have hit us. And he never said thank you. And I think that is so fascinating to me, because I saved his life, but he didn't want his life to be saved. As an 8-year-old, he wanted to go. And in society, I don't believe that we care enough about each other to notice things before they occur. For example, he would cry. Like, he would cry so much. And I never really took the minute to talk to him and just be like, are you okay? I thought he was just a crybaby. I thought he was just begging for attention, but no. He was just trying to let it out. He needed an outlet to be safe from his own father. And I feel so guilty because I don't know where he is now. And I saw him beaten and bruised, and I never did anything, really. I listened to him. And that was it. And it's so hard to find people in this generation, including myself, in any generation, really, who try to notice before things go poorly. And there's a saying surrounding suicide. It goes something like, people only care when you're gone. And as much as I'd like to think that isn't true, we see it. We see it a lot. We see it everywhere. It's just so depressing to see how many people go through struggles that are just hidden. For me, for example, I'm using myself. I go to school. I try to go to school with a smile on my face. I have burdens. I have struggled with so many things in my life, and I think that it's going to rid me of my sadness and grief if I were to put on a show, and if I were to put on that fake smile, because if other people like me, any version of me that I can put out, if they like that version of me, I'm getting the attention and love that I crave. The love that would set me forward and create happiness for me. So, also the saying, fake it till you make it. It doesn't work. I mean, it can work temporarily, but not forever. And so many people, oh my gosh, like today, started junior year. I hated today. I felt so excluded. I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere. And that sucks. And so many people go through that. And so many girls and boys, we don't open our eyes enough to see that someone is down in their dumps. And you never know what someone is going through. And that's why we need to open our eyes. Because it is never too late to save someone from their own thoughts, their own grief, their own ideas. Because the only one that can save us at the end of the day is ourselves. And if we are not given the support and love to do so, you're cooked. There's no simpler way to put it. We need to open our eyes and see people. For once in our lives, open our eyes and see people for more than just what's on the outside. We need to see what's inside. We need to see the love, the grief, the sadness, the happiness, because all emotions are valid. And we need to see that within everyone around us, or we're just going to all be the same person. We're going to turn into the same exact thing. If we laugh at strangers for being themselves, if we laugh at just to judge someone on the outside without taking a single look on the inside, or without even trying to look on the inside, that's a vile thing. I believe that is one of the worst things someone can do, is look at you from the outside and realize you're not worth their time, or think that Maybe you don't belong at this table. Maybe you don't belong in this group. Maybe you don't belong here. And we gotta realize, we all have something to bring. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how crappy one's life is. They have something to offer. Every single person has something to offer. And when we judge someone from the outside and don't give them even a chance, that's worthless. You're never going to find a genuine connection with someone if you don't give people chances off of what's inside. And we need to open our eyes. Oh my gosh, we need to open our eyes to actually see people. Because you never know what someone is going through at any time. Doesn't matter how well they mask it or hide it. Everyone is going through something, no matter how big or small. We need to learn how to care again, and we need to learn how to look into someone's eyes and empathize with them. Just freaking bring back empathy, y'all.